So this open day or open meeting is to describe the BA Hons drawing for anybody who's thinking of doing it, and then to give you some space to tell us a little bit about yourselves and why you are thinking of doing the drawing degree, but also to ask us any questions that you may have about it. So I can't see you while I'm sharing the screen. Helen, can you see the students while I'm doing this?
Yeah, I can.
Or the visitors. So you can just field any, make me aware of anything that happens.
And if anyone, wants to put something in the chat,
yeah,
we can keep an eye on that and let Emma know.
That's great. Thank you very much. So I've already introduced both of us, and if I'd known, I would have added Tom on there. Tom, what's your job title?
Yeah, so I'm a student experience advisor working in OCA, so part of the student services team, and deal with sort of general queries for prospective students regarding fees and funding, timeframes, enrolment deadlines, all of that kind of information, and then also work on sort of processing enrollments as well. So yeah, any of those types of questions, and I'll chip in there.
Great. I feel I should say more about myself and Helen now. Okay, so I am a program leader. I'm responsible for all aspects of your academic experience at OCA, should you undertake the degree. So it's my job to make sure the courses have academic currency, that they're sufficiently in line with sector norms, that they're pleasurable to do and useful for you in terms of developing as artist practitioners. I myself am an artist. I have two sides to my practice. I do a lot of painting, but I also operate as an artist in placements inside organisations. So I work inside other people's workforces and produce improvised artworks in that kind of relational method. And I'm currently, hopefully, just about to complete a PhD on that subject. Helen, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I can do. So yes, so I'm the drawing program tutor, and I work closely with Emma and the team of flexible tutors who support drawing students. So my role is obviously a tutoring role. As a big part of my role is that, but I also facilitate and organise things like group work. I support a session called the Carlo Collective for students who are studying alongside having long-term health conditions. As an artist, I work with drawing and sculpture, and I'm very interested in the intersection of those two disciplines. Yeah, and I'm just completed the mass sculpture program, a couple of exhibitions on the go. So yes, that's me.
Lovely, thank you. As well as us here today, as Helen has mentioned, we have a small but beautiful team of tutors. So, and they work on a one-to-one basis with you as students. Right. So OCA is open access, which means that you do not need any fixed qualifications to come to us. It's online in some senses, in that the content is online and your meetings with us are online. But of course, as soon as you start making artwork, you'll be doing that in your own home. So quite quickly, that emphasis shifts to a hybrid one of you making work in your studio, but accessing content and support online. And we've come a full circle, having been founded by the same guy who founded the Open University. We've now become part of the Open University. So and your degree will be awarded by the Open University as the validator of our degrees. Yes, you can study remotely from any location, and drawing is quite a flexible practice. You can draw in a tiny book, or you can draw on a massive wall. It can be done with a variety of materials, so it's quite good for fitting into your life and the spaces that you have available to you. We are very flexible. There are schedules you have to be aware of, so enrolment months and assessment months, but largely, you can work at a pace that suits you and manage your time to suit yourself. So it is a hugely flexible way of working. If you have caring responsibilities, professional responsibilities, you can. This is probably one of the few times where where there'll be a synchronous meeting that you need to attend. I can't think of anything off the top of my head where you just literally have to be there at a certain day, because we have people all over the world. We have people studying in Chile, Malta, the Caribbean, so Alaska. We have people everywhere. So time zones, professional working patterns, childcare, care of elderly parents, all these things are unique to you, and you can manage your studies around them. But more than that, I think the diversity of the student body is one of its absolute strengths, and that includes the fact that we have an international network of students. So that means that international students are studying where they live, which means we can all benefit from that diversity, as in terms of peer learning. As I said previously, all the tutors that work in drawing are passionate about drawing. That may seem obvious, but many of them have PhDs in drawing specifically. They are also all kind and good-humoured. I make sure, and they're passionate about teaching. So I think you can feel very confident when you come to OCA that the tutor that you're assigned will be attentive and caring and will be incredibly knowledgeable. So they are really the sort of gold dust that's sprinkled over the course materials. We have large and very rich courses written by the team, but then on top of that, you've got the tutor who's just nudging you and giving you some one-to-one support. But the main way that you will learn is by making artwork, and one of the benefits of studying online is that you can build a practice in context. So what that means is, rather than traveling hundreds of miles to go to university somewhere and then at the end of that period moving back to your hometown, you will be building your professional practice in situ, where it will continue to be sustained post-graduation. And that does become relevant potentially from the get-go for drawing, because a lot of drawing students do make work that is about their context, but specifically as you get towards the end of the degree, when you're looking at building a professional practice, you're looking at making external partnerships and getting out into the world with your practice. If it's the world that you actually live in, then that makes it particularly useful, relevant, and sustainable. So I think that's a really important point about studying from home. Right. We've covered open access. So who's this course for? Anybody. These are not, you'd have to be one of these things, you'd have to be all of them. So it would suit people who've just always loved drawing, you just love it, and you know that it's your happy place and you enjoy it and you'd like to find out more to degree level. Actually, I say to degree level, but you can leave us at the end of each stage. So you actually, you could say, oh, well, actually, I'm interested to certificate level or diploma level or degree level. And I was speaking to a stage 3 yesterday who said, I never actually meant to do the degree. He's just about to graduate, so he did actually decide to do the degree. But he just thought, well, I'll see how I get on at stage 1, and then I'll see how I get on at stage 2. And now, of course, he's graduating with a BA honours in drawing. So, but if you love drawing, then why not come and find out what it's all about from people who really love drawing? But also, it's a degree is quite an undertaking. It's quite a rigorous thing to do. It's a scholarly thing to do as well as a creative thing to do. So anybody who's curious about developing a rigorous creative practice So drawing can be a wide range of things, and it's considered in a wide range of ways by drawing theorists and drawing practitioners. And so the degree reflects that, because it has to have currency by the end of the degree. You need to be able to yourself in those terms. So it goes beyond a kind of hobby and takes it into a degree of critical rigor. So if that excites you and interests you, then that would be a good reason to do a degree. But drawing itself has a kind of natural transdisciplinary character. So by that I mean that drawing is used by people for all sorts of things. Children do it, engineers do it, people scribble a drawing on the back of a till receipt to show somebody else the way to get somewhere. It's a ready form of communication and of documentation, etc. So it may be that you have a career already in engineering, architecture, or perhaps you've enjoyed drawing with your child, or perhaps you are a mathematician or a musician, something that speaks to drawing, and that you would be interested to take that part of your existing practice and draw it out into a contemporary art practice. We've got a lot of those in the department. Right. What is contemporary drawing? So I do want to be very clear that traditional drawing techniques are very much welcome. So we've got stage 3 Jan, who is making trompe-l'oeil, kind of almost photorealist drawings. They're really beautiful. So that's a huge amount of traditional drawing skill that she's acquired in order to do that. But equally at stage 3, we've got Steve, who's currently is he still there? I don't know, but he was until recently in Ireland, improvising software generated drawings using a little cluster of musicians that were responding to his software, and drawings are being created by that interaction. So we've got all manner of forms of drawing being explored and celebrated within the department, but also, as I kind of referred to a little bit previously, there's a lot of opportunity for you to look at how drawing speaks to other practices, collage, sculpture, whatever, so you will be developing your own practice, and it will be incredibly personal to you, but it will be in relation to discourses around drawing, and that's why it's a degree, not just kind of having a nice time. I mean, it is having a nice time, but the critical and the academic currency is how you relate your practice to it, to the context that are of use to you. So drawing can be really personal and intimate. We have a lot of students who are making some very beautiful work around that. It's got a very direct relationship to movement. Painting is a bit trixier. It doesn't always fit, but drawing, if you dash at something with a pencil, you'll get a mark that looks fast. There's kind of, but you can also create things very quickly with it, and with a sort of degree of economy. But then also it can be very labor intensive and well crafted, and that can be lovely to lose yourself for a couple of hours just drawing 2 pairs or something. It can be a very peaceful and creatively caring process, which then of course is communicated to the audience. If they see something that's been so lovingly crafted, that's a very pleasurable thing to bear witness to. So there's that. But it also can be very social and collaborative, as I mentioned before, drawing a hopscotch on the pavement and everybody joins in immediately, draw a circle and the cat will get in it. So it's a very social practice, and it's used in everyday life. So we do have students and exercises within the units that explore the way that drawing can be used to share experiences with other people and to communicate. Right, so that gives you a gist of what contemporary drawing is, but obviously those are the contexts, and then you'll fit yourself into them in ways that feel right for you over time. You don't have to make the decision straight off the bat. You've got a few years to think that through on a part-time basis. So the first courses are just all different kinds of drawing practice. You're not expected to make really firm and considered choices, but you are given themes and electives, to start to sort of test out what you prefer doing. But mostly it's about keeping an open mind and expanding your toolkit in a way, and getting a better understanding of the possibilities for drawing. This is interesting to me as it is to you to find out what I wrote. I've forgotten. Right, so stage 2 is a deepening of that. So you start to ask questions of yourself, actually, really. What is important to me as a person, and so therefore what might be important to me as an artist, and what might my work function as in the world? What do I want it to be? And it covers some of those issues, some of those aspects of contemporary drawing that were covered in that previous slide. The sociable, the intimate, it's quite an exciting time, quite a heavy time for learning. There's lots and lots of really interesting threads that you can pull to find out more about drawing. So by the end of stage 2, you've got a lot of knowledge, a lot of understanding, and you've got a fairly sound position for yourself as to what you might like to explore in your graduating stage. So stage 3, actually, you write the course, really. So you'll come back to me at that point, and we'll have a discussion about the territory that you want to explore. You'll be able to say to me, I've become very interested in the intimacy and the immediacy of working with you'll be able to tell me, put language and a framework to what your passions are. And at stage 3, you will be developing a body of work and doing some personal research around that territory. And you will probably, most people will present their work in some form of public exhibition. I mean, occasionally people publish a book or a website or something, but most people do put their work in a gallery or some kind of space, or woodland, whatever. And you should also end the degree with plans for the future, so that I can phone you up 18 months after you graduated and be really confident that you're going to be all happy and tell me, I've got an exhibition, I'm doing this, that, and the other. I want you to leave us fully equipped to work as an artist in ways that you find personally fulfilling. So is that the last slide, I wonder? No. Okay, so after each unit, so there's 10 projects in a unit, you study all these things, and at the end of them, and each unit is about 400 hours of study, so depending on how much time you've got in your life, they can take up to a year. That's the longest you could take, but you could complete one much more quickly than that if you've got the time to do it. But as you complete each one, you're formally assessed. So you select a very small amount of work from everything you've done that you consider to be your best work, and you write about it and submit some supporting writing. And then passing that unit will give you credits that you can then build. So you've got 9 units is a BA honours, and as I said, 3 is a certificate of higher education, and 6 is a diploma of higher education. So as you get the credits, 120, 240, or 360. So you can choose to exit with that award or carry on towards the degree. Learning has a relationship to vulnerability and risk for everybody. You're purposely putting yourself in this situation where you're doing something that you don't know how to do, and that's not something adults do readily. So I think that's why it's so important to me that all my tutors are kind, and recognize that vulnerability and support that vulnerability. So we don't have a challenging teaching style, we have a nurturing teaching style. And just talking generally, not specific to you, but we have mental health can affect energy levels and ability to actually start and sustain an activity. So can some health conditions. We have students with ME and other things. And so I think there is, it's important to recognise and actively celebrate the fact that your 40 hours will look different to somebody else's 40 hours. I remember once I went on a residency that was for artists and writers are very different. So they write a lot. Anyway, so and this author walked past my window every evening, and she said to me, "I didn't realise being an artist involved so much doing nothing." Oh, nice. But she's right. It does involve a lot of doing nothing. It does involve a lot of sitting and waiting and watching the work, or just kind of experimenting with the materials. And it does involve a lot of personal commitment. And if that means, that can be challenging, So please do remember, all of you, if you do take up this course, not to imagine a student that's 100% productive and then measure yourself against that person. That person doesn't exist. And anyway, who cares? You are the artist. You are the person at the center of your own course. And whatever you can do in the time is valid and relevant. And that's why I made the point about the assessment as well. That comes at the end. So all the feedback points that you have, and you'll have 10, they're just to help you. So if you have had a rocky month, or and you haven't achieved very much, then you still come, have that meeting and talk about it. What strategies can I use, to make sure to sustain my practice and make sure that I get to the end of this course, successfully. So let's go back while we're waiting then, Helen, to thinking about the kinds of people that come on the course. I mean, there's a lot of interest in situated practices, I would say. Thinking about Martin and others who make work about a particular place and sustain that inquiry across units.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of love for the environment, isn't there? There's a lot of people.
I agree with that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've got a kind of quite a few people who are interested in sculpture. We've got Peter with his automata.
Yeah, drawing machines.
And entrancing little wooden fingers that make drawings. And we've got people that enjoy surface, so making their own inks, making their own surfaces to draw onto.
Yeah, more materially driven sort of interests.
Yeah.
Some people who, I'm thinking of sort of particularly at stage 1, students who, might arrive with quite a sort of secure drawing practice, if you like, but have been, surprised actually and energized by the diversity of approaches that are introduced in the first projects. And actually, it's sort of opened up a bit of a, another world really for them, which is really interesting. And then, many students who, when I think back, who have come to us having not drawn since they were at school,
Yeah.
and actually, are re-engaging with, the processes and materials and approaches of drawing.
I think one of the things that it's easy for me to fail to remember, is the anxiety that can come when you first start.
Yes.
So in the excitement to share all that drawing can be, I think for some people the first course is a bit mind blowing. Oh my God. I thought I was going to be drawing apples, and here I am, hanging off the light bulb. But I think the key is to just have fun with it. To have fun with it. I know that's easy for me to say. So there's a question here. How would the tutor mark the student's work? So your tutor will not mark your work all the way through. They'll give you feedback. So you can either have a written report which means that you won't meet your tutor. You'll send your work to them digitally, so you'll log it all on an online learning log or similar, and your tutor will review it and write to you. And they'll write for a shorter report, they'll write up to 500 words, for a longer feedback session up to 1,000 words. Or you can choose to have a video tutorial. And so again, for a shorter tutorial, that'll be 30 minutes, and for a longer tutorial, it'll be 45 minutes. And it's up to you which you'd like. So you have all that feedback over the course of the year, and that's formative feedback. So that's there specifically to help you. And then at the end of the course, after 10 projects, you'll select 6 to 10 of your best drawings that you've made or artworks that you've made. You'll select some entries from your learning log where you've been particularly insightful or creative, whatever, and you'll write a 750-word statement to the assessment team, and that will all go off for formal assessment. And at that point, the whole team, all of us, will get involved, and you'll be assessed by probably your personal tutor in the first instance. You'll be second assessed or moderated, probably by Helen or me, or somebody else from the tutor team. And then I will internally verify those marks. And then somebody from another institution will come in as an external examiner and double check that everything we've done is in line with sector norms and done properly. So at the end of each unit, 9 times in your degree, you will be given a mark, a percentage mark. And anything over 40% is a pass, so you get the credits. But then the actual mark you get bears no relation on your final degree classification for stage 1, has a small impact on your degree classification at stage 2, and is significantly your final degree classification. So whether you get a first, a 2-1, or 2-2, or a third, that is kind of over 2/3 of that realistically is determined by your marks at stage 3. I just want to see if there's another. Oh, that's good. We're in the questions. We've done it perfectly, preempted. Does that answer your question about Aida, about how the tutor marks the students' work? We just had a report from the external examiner for drawing, and he remarked on. He said he was blown away. That's a term he used, by the quality of the feedback and the amount of attention you get. So, I think you do get a lot. There's something about the feedback that we give that requires the tutor to really concentrate and be really focused. So you get a lot of that. Hang on, I'm torn between, this is from Bodhi Sattva, I'm torn between the drawing degree and the creative arts or fine art. That's 3. I love to paint, my drawing kind of sucks. Okay, so drawing and painting, this degree is a drawing degree. Now, it does speak to other practices, but what I'm hearing there is that you might prefer either creative arts or fine art, because this degree is definitely going to be, it's taught entirely by people who are really focused on drawing, even though they're also sculptors, etc. And it is that opportunity for you to really get a discipline-specific degree, even though the contexts may be, so you can draw with paint, you can do that, and you can have drawings as part of paintings. But what you're saying there is, what I'm hearing there anyway, is that you love painting, but you want to build skill in drawing. And actually the painting degree, the first course of the painting degree is called Drawing for Painting. So you start the painting degree by building skills in drawing, and then you move into painting. Creative arts is where you have 2 practices that you're interested in and you want to see how they interrelate. So if your paintings tend to have a lot of drawing in them or vice versa, you might want to do creative arts. And fine arts is a sort of generalist degree, but you pick strands. So I don't know too much about that. So I would go to the Fine Art Open Day and just ask that same question. So although I don't know too much from what I'm reading there, if drawing is a really important part of your overall practice, so that even when you're doing paintings, they're heavily inspired by drawing, You may want to explore that with a degree in drawing. But actually, if you're saying to me, if only I was better at drawing, my paintings would be better, then I would say you should consider the painting degree. But creative arts and fine arts are also both available. Aida, you're asking whether you can do the degree within 3 years. This might be a question for Tom.
Yes. So generally, let me just put my camera back on. Yeah. So the situation, like I said before, is that you've got 12 months to complete each unit, like you mentioned. So we say that the sort of maximum time to complete each unit is 9 years, because that would be 12 months per unit, and you'd roughly need 10 study hours for that. 18 to 16 study hours means you'd be completing a unit in about sort of 9 months, which would roughly therefore work out at about 6 years to complete your unit. And then if you were looking to complete it in sort of the fastest time period, then we say that would be looking at sort of 5 to 6 months per unit to complete the unit. And therefore you'd be looking at sort of a 4.5-year time frame to complete the degree. And like you mentioned there about assessment. You've got 3 assessment events in the year. So sort of trying to plan when the assessment event will fall and then when you will enroll can help you sort of progress at the sort of quickest rate. The only time you're going to have to wait for your results from an assessment event will be for unit 1.1, so your first unit, just because it's an open access course, so that we can check you're at the right sort of level to progress to the next unit. But after that, once you've completed a unit, you can submit that work for assessment and then enroll straight onto the next unit. So that can sort of keep your pace going and keep you at a sort of the pace that you're looking to complete at.
We've got to wrap up soon, but somebody's asked, what's an ambitious art piece look like? So I just want to quickly get onto the drawing degree page and try to share. Share this tab instead. So what I'm going to do here, can you see, hopefully you can see BA On's drawing assessment show good. So if I press this, hang on, is there music? No, there isn't. Can I make it go faster? No. So here are some stage 1 artworks, eventually. This is not really designed for speed, so that you can have a look at the work. So please remember that open access is broad. So there are people here who are already very good at drawing before they started, who want to find out more, and there are people who have only just started drawing. So you'll see a wide range at stage 1, and things kind of even out as you go up the levels. See here people using print, using different drawing materials, using paint. That's a really good example of a painting, drawing kind of situation, and so is that actually. What you will see, I think, in this one and in quite a lot of them is as soon as it goes to stage 2, everything goes really conceptual. But that's, I think, it's a small degree. So at the moment, the majority of the students are at stage 1, and there's less. So it's already shifting as the degree matures. So these are people at stage 2, or who were at stage 2 last year. And we didn't have any graduate. Oh no, maybe Sarah graduated last year. So all these people passed assessment, and progressed to the next unit or level, or exited with an award. That's lovely, isn't it? So I hope you can see the wide variety of practices that are encapsulated in the drawing degree. There's Peter. I don't know why I'm laughing, but I just find his work really fun, So. And there's Steve with his program. So all these people actually, Steve, Jan, Charles and Peter, Charles and Peter aren't quite there yet, but they'll be moving to stage 3, and Steve and Jan are already at stage 3. So that's just a really tiny snapshot of the kind of work that is being done every day in the drawing department. All these questions are Tomish questions, so I'm just going to ignore them because Tom's better at answering. I'll get it wrong. But we do need to draw this to a close.
Yeah, I've just put the link to the contact us on our website, and then there's also an email address there that you can contact us with any questions regarding
Brilliant.
sort of fees, funding, anything. If there's any course-related questions, we can always then pass them on to Emma.
Not about fees and funding, don't
No,
ask any of
course
those
related.
questions.
course related.
Okay, thank you. I suppose, Helen, have we captured, what I really want to say is how lovely the students are.
Yes.
Do you know that there's something hasn't quite, there's something about the drawing department. It's a very lovely space.
Yeah, and very generous.
It is.
You know, so there are moments in each unit where you receive feedback. You don't have to do this face-to-face, but that can happen, and either the face-to-face or the written feedback from your peers, it's always so, you know, people are always so enthusiastic about each other's practice and so curious about what others are doing, and you know, it is a very supportive department.
It is, and I think the flexibility of approach, although sometimes I kind of, you know, I wish I'd love people to feel more confident. I'm really proud of the fact that we can accommodate different ways of accessing learning.
Yes.
You know, so we never put you on the spot.
No.
You know, we never force you to speak or be other than what you want. And I'm quite proud of that. It does make it so the one-to-one tuition. It is a kind of fairly low stress way of learning. But as you say, the group tutorials are a wonderful place to get a sense of levelness, and they are really supportive and nurturing and positive. The idea is you walk away from any of these feedback points a couple of inches taller. You know, you've had some really nice input, and even assessment. It is a celebration. You know, you completed the course, and it's your chance to show us how great you are, and we're only too pleased to see that and reward it. So, yeah. Okay, well, I've got another meeting in 9 minutes, as is the nature of my life. So I will have to call this to a halt. But thank you very much, Helen and Tom, for coming and helping and being part of this. But mostly thank you to everybody here, and good luck those of you who are choosing between drawing, painting, creative arts and fine art. I hope you have a fun time at all the other open days. And if you do decide to choose drawing, I look forward to seeing you in due course.
Yes. Just to say, somebody asked about materials there, just very quickly. Yes, you do have to provide your own materials.
But you don't have to get anything fancy.
No, it can be very, and your tutor can also talk to you about options that can keep, you know, the cost down.
And there are bursaries, which if you use that contact button, you can ask more about. But if you are on a low income or something like that, you could get financial support as well from us. Okay.
Brilliant.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.